Hello guys, I'm Pilot Stone and welcome back to another one of my videos. Now today I'll be reviewing the Thrustmaster T Flight for HOTAS System. If you want more content like this, please remember to subscribe and stay tuned to the end of the video to find my final verdict. Now let's get right into it. So this cost me £55 or €59 or $65 depending on where you live, and I brought it new. The main functions are throttle, roll, pitch. However, if you don't have rudder pedals, you can twist the side stick for or on the back of the throttle, you can twist this lever. As you can see, there's a wide variety of buttons on both the side stick and the throttle. And you can program these on your PC or PS4. You heard me right, I said PS4, as this is compatible with the PS4. And if you look carefully, for PS4 users, this can basically act as a remote, due to the PS4 and options and share buttons. Taking a closer look at the side stick, you can see a hat button on the top that allows you to move your view, L1, which I use for bombs, and L2. And if we turn this around, you can see R3 and a trigger. If you look on the bottom of this, there's a port here that looks a bit like an Ethernet port. However, you can use it to connect to your Thrustmaster rudder pedals. I'll put a link in the top up there. Now let's have a closer look at the throttle. So this is the throttle. As you can see here, it moves halfway and then there's a bit of friction there to stop it in the 50%. And then there's full throttle. You can see there's 4 buttons on the side of here. And there's also a PS button, a share button and an options button there. As I said earlier, if we turn this around, there's a lever there that you can use for your rudder pedals, and there's also R2 and L2. If we take a look on the bottom, for your wire, if you want both the throttle and side stick together, there's a loop to store your wires, or if you want them apart so you can fit your keyboard in the middle, there's a bit here that allows you to put your wire out like that. Now let's see, for the first time on my channel, how this works on X-Plane 11. So to connect it, all you need to do is plug in the USB, download a driver and hey presto. Connect it in the settings on X-Plane 11 or FSX. And here you can see me landing using the Thrustmaster T Flight for HOTAS System. I must say it works very well, and sensitivity is adjusted in settings if you require it to be. As you can see, my landing isn't the greatest, but it's not the worst. And I believe it works fine. Also, if you don't have X-Plane 11, then it works on many other popular flight simulators. The one I used before would, of course, as you've seen in my other videos, be FSX, and it works perfectly fine on here, and if anything, was easier to connect to than X-Plane 11. If you haven't got FSX, and you're more of a military flight simmer, then it also works well with DCS. Now, as I said earlier, it works for PlayStation, and if you're playing on there, or flying in there, then it works perfectly with War Thunder and Ace Combat. I would say that due to its compatibility with so many different types of games, and its ability to easily set up with all of them, that's another reason for anyone, especially beginners, to buy this setup. Now let's have one final look, but this time in more detail, and of course, as I said earlier, I'll give you my final verdict. So, one of my favourite features about this system is that you can either have it together like this, or if you have a keyboard like most people do, you can separate it, allowing for about a 45cm, 50cm worth of space between, until the wire stops it. I think it's a brilliant feature, and they clearly thought about the modular kind of idea surrounding flight simulator setups. So build quality wise, most of the product is made out of plastic. However, do not let this scare you, as there is some metal parts, there's also quite a bit of rubber. And, of course, the plastic is of a high quality, allowing for a sturdy and realistic experience. So, my only criticism with this product would be the throttle. It does feel a bit blocky and has a weird kind of shape to it. I know they've tried to mould it to your hand and it is quite comfortable. However, it's not realistic at all and feels quite weird. Also, if you've got an aircraft with 2 or more engines, how would you control them individually? You could only do it in-game, of course. So, for the more serious of you flight simmers, I don't recommend this personally, but as I'll tell you later, for beginners it's perfectly fine. Also, over time I've used it, you can see it's slightly loose, and I've also had some problems with some aircraft. It might just be the aircraft, where despite me pulling the throttle back to 0, they'll still be on, the engines will still be on. So that could just be a me problem, or it's something to do with this. However, it is fine for the money, let me tell you that. Only a bit flimsy. Another important and not very well known about feature of this setup is the resistance turner on the bottom. As you can see, mine's turned up to full resistance, so it's quite difficult to turn on the ground like this. However, this does mean that if you want it to be tighter or looser, there's a knob on the bottom that allows you to do this. As you can see, mine is quite resistant at the moment. However, if you wanted to loosen it for lighter aircraft, you could. Another great thing about this, as said before, is that this works really well, and even over 2 years of use, it's still working perfectly. That's probably one of my favourite buttons on here, as it's so easy and great to use. So overall, the product feels very sturdy, and despite being made of plastic, it feels well crafted to a high degree. I would also like to say about, of course, as I said earlier, the Thrustmaster rudder pedals. And they connect easily to the whole system, how I use it normally. And for, of course, PS4 users, another good thing about it, as said earlier, is that this setup can basically act as a remote for your PS4. So you can use it on games such as Ace Combat and War Thunder. So, overall, yeah, it works well. And for £50 to £55, it's certainly worth it. And if you haven't got anything like it, it adds a whole new level of realism. If you haven't got a system like this before, and you're a complete beginner to this hobby, then it's brilliant for you. However, if you want a totally realistic and elite experience, maybe spend a bit more money, £100, £200, as this is aimed at the entry-level market. And therefore, in some cases, such as the lack of a proper rudder, it can feel a little bit unrealistic. Also, there isn't a lot of resistance on the side stick, which of course, if you've been in an aircraft or flown one before, you'll know that isn't too realistic. And there's no response from the game input there. So I would say, if you're an experienced flight simmer, pay a bit more. However, if you're not, and you'd like to get into this hobby, I highly recommend you get it. Thrustmaster have done a really good job. And aside from a PS4 PC compatible setup, there's also Xbox and PC, and a PC one only, which is £30, so a lot cheaper. There's also a massive market of these second hand, and they work fine, so really, anyone can afford it. Well guys, that's all from me today. I really hope you've enjoyed my video. Please stay safe at this unprecedented time, and if you want more content like this, please subscribe down below. I've been Pilot Stad, and from me, have a fantastic day. Bye bye.